Good morning. I always say good morning, even though it's not morning for me either. Okay, good, whatever. Glad you're here. All right, so today, um, we are going to talk a little bit about the Kundalini body locks. All right, when I first heard about this, I was like, what in the world, right? What in the absolute world? All right, so Kundalini works primarily with that central energy channel, right? We talk about that a lot, and the chakra energy centers along that spine. And so your spine is central, huge, right? And then we can think about how your spine is one of the main pieces of your nervous system, right? Like all of the communication that's running from your brain down your spine and then connecting out to all of those organs of your endocrine system. And so then you're like, wow, I really should think about my spine more. And don't feel bad. I mean, until I started doing these practices, I was in shape and I was healthy and fit. But I was having to go to the chiropractor all the time. And I had a lot of inflammation in my body. And that, is some of that just result of not knowing that there's this key aspect that I wasn't paying attention to. All right, so the Kundalini body locks. There are three, and the probably the two that you're going to be using and you'll hear over and over are the root lock, right? So your root chakra is the very base, bottom of your spine chakra energy center, right? And your neck lock. So root lock and neck lock, all right? And the official names of those is the Mula Bandha. So Bandha is lock, and Jalandhara Bandha. All right, don't need to know that. So there's no quiz. All right, so we'll talk about root lock first. All right, so root lock, what we are wanting to do when we're engaging root lock is pull up at the pelvic floor, right? So connecting to that base, very bottom base of your spine, and then drawing that energy up. All right. So you engage those muscles, and the idea is you're going to set this as a foundation, a support. This is your base, right? We have to have this strong base to start working that energy and moving that energy up. And we don't want that energy leaking out, right? We want to hold and contain that energy, right? Which is very similar to the job of the root chakra. That's our foundation. And then it can hold and contain the water that comes in at the sacral chakra, right? So when we engage root lock, what we're going to do, we've got that nice, always, right? We're thinking first, like, is like nice, long, elongated spine, right? And you try this with me. Get that pelvic bowl neutral, right? And all that means is don't pour your soup out the front of your bowl, right? Don't pour your soup out the back of your bowl. Get it nice and neutral, all right? And then, and if it helps, you can close your eyes down, right? Sometimes it really, really helps to inwardly connect if you close your eyes down. But just find the sensation at the base of your spine if you can. And if you can't, it's okay. With practice, this is not something you're doing, right? We're not going around really in our bodies at all. And this is a practice, okay? So just trying to connect there. And then I want you to imagine, like, if you could tie a string, right? To kind of like that base of your spine and draw it up, pull it up. See if you can find the muscles that would pull up, right? Try not to engage your glute muscles, your butt muscles, your leg muscles, right? I had mine a little engaged. I just relaxed them, but keep pulling up at the base of that spine. All right. The other thing that's going to be happening, your belly button's probably going to draw back a little bit, right? Again, you're thinking like right at this pelvic bowl, creating this really strong, stable base. All right. So the belly button's kind of drawing back a little bit and pulling up at the pelvic floor, right? Feel that connection. All right. If you need to release it, release it. Okay. Take a break. All right. You can play with this lock throughout the day, right? And it's so good Yes, for moving energy and all the Kundalini clearing and things. But just on a physical level, having a healthy pelvic floor means, I mean, it's huge, right? Like not having that healthy pelvic floor, incontinence and things like that. And just the support. Thinking of how much pressure is on that pelvic floor all the time because of all of the organs and things sitting there. This is extremely important, and it's not something that we talk about being healthy and fit. That's not like a gym thing that we're doing, but it's so, so important for our overall body health, spine health, things like that. All right. So the other thing that's happening here is when you engage that root lock, right? So try it again, pulling up from the very, very bottom, right? Without engaging your butt muscles. Try to relax them. There you go. All right. Now belly button's coming back. You're engaging those deep, deep abdominal muscles. All right. So again, this is core work, and we're not so much worried about the sort of the superficial abs right now, right? Which you do get work on those in Kundalini, but this, posture wise, like it's going to be, your low back. If you have low back issues, this is going to help that because again, it's creating this very strong, stable base. And when we're not strong in our core musculature in the front body, then we can have issues in the back body, right? And that happens all the time. We're feeling pain back here, and the real issue is on the other side, right? Because we're overworking maybe in a different place, or we're having to over tighten because this is too loose, right? So, root lock, we use it a lot of times throughout a pose, right? Like we'll be in, let's say, radiance charger, and I'll say, okay, keep engaging root lock, keep engaging root lock. So don't feel like it has to be this really hard squeeze the entire time. It's a gentle engagement that you want to be able to turn on, right? And so that's why throughout the day you can practice that, and it's only going to help you. All right. So that's root lock. We're gonna move. The neck lock is the next one that's most common, but I'm going to go ahead and just move up the chain so you can kind of remember a little bit better. The next one is your diaphragm lock, and it's not necessarily that common. All right. So again, root lock and neck lock are used throughout poses and in pretty much every class you would ever do. Diaphragm lock is a little bit harder to find the sensation, but all that means, right? And you only practice it on the exhale. So that's another reason why the diaphragm lock is not often practiced, right? It would be at the end of a pose. You would do your inhale, a complete exhale, okay? Engage root lock, and then see if you can find a sensation of pulling your diaphragm, that muscle, right? That U-shaped muscle, upside down U, up and into your heart or your chest cavity, all right? So sitting up nice and tall, engage root lock. So pulling up, and then see if you can bring that pull, belly button's pulling backwards. See if you can bring that pull up and get your diaphragm to lift. All right. And I like to think of it like it's this little platform I'm going to give my heart, right? I'm going to support my heart by lifting that diaphragm physically. All right. Now, couple mentions on this. Again, it's only you get a full exhale, and then it's almost like you'll feel this like suction, right? As you have no air and you're gonna lift that sucker up. Again, it does take practice, this one for sure. This one is really, again, it's that idea of that movement of energy up the spinal column and the chakra system, and you've got your lower three chakras, right? Your root, your sacral, your solar plexus, right at your belly button. Then your heart space, all right? Well, your diaphragm is the connecting sort of piece here, right? And it's gonna like allow that energy to keep moving up, right? So when you can get control of your diaphragm, you have a lot of control over moving that energy and allowing it to flow, right? Okay, so then the last one is your neck lock. And this one, it really doesn't take as much thought. It's just a position. All right. So all it means is, I'm going to turn it sideways for just a minute. If if I say sit up nice and tall, your instinct might be to do this a little bit because you're like, okay, I'm gonna get as my head as tall as I can, right? And I kind of lean back a little bit with my chin. So what we want, you can kind of see how like my spine actually gets a little bit kinked when I do that. All right. So pelvic bowl, right? Nice and neutral. For me to engage neck lock, I'm going to slightly draw my chin down. Now it's not a full tuck to my chest, okay? Because then I've kinked again. I want to find that position that lets my crown lift to the sky and I've got length through the back of my neck. And I'm creating space for that energy to flow. I'm creating space through the cervical spine at my neck. And this one, you know, there are a few poses where, you've got your nose to knees and your head is maybe bent forward. Um, you know, child's pose with your head maybe on the ground, we're not thinking about neck lock. But in our seated poses, or even, a standing mountain pose or something like that, we want to engage neck lock because, again, it's that idea of we're trying to allow that energy to move through that spine, uninhibited, freely flowing. And this is just going to, again, open you. Okay. So, root lock and neck lock, oftentimes used together. All three can be put together at the end of a pose on a complete exhale. So let's try. We'll do one round here and just you can play with it, okay? And again, please don't be hard on yourself. It's always about meeting your body and your mind and your spirit where you are, and it's perfect, right? And every practice you're going to learn something, you're going to feel something different, and just being so not just okay with that but so appreciative of that. And that's some of the practice too. That's some of the yogi practice, is learning to get out of our egos and quit being so hard on ourselves. I'm never going to get it. Oh, that was so frustrating. Being so thankful for every experience. And listen, I'm saying that because I'm also working on that. Okay. I didn't like read that in a book and say that to you. I'm saying it to you because that's also my practice, is to stop being so hard on myself. It's practice. And I'm learning something every time. All right. So just come to that nice seated easy pose or seated in a chair. Also fabulous. And if seated easy pose is not your favorite, go rock pose. Okay. That's just seated on your knees. And I'll say too, seated easy pose for me, I'm pretty much, if I want to be comfortable, I'm always elevated. So I've got my bolster. Okay. So just want to say that up front too. All right. So I'm just going to ground down. So I'm going to put my hands on my knees and I'm going to sit up nice and tall. All right. Now I'm closing my eyes down because I really want to feel into this and connect. Okay. Inwardly. I am going to set that pelvic bowl so it is nice and neutral. And I'm going to draw up through my spine. All right. Now, since we're thinking about drawing up through our spine, go ahead and find your neck lock. All right, lengthening through that spine all the way, creating space. All right, let those shoulders be dropped and let that chest be lifted. All right, so taking some deep breaths here. Connecting inwardly. All right, so right now all we have is neck lock. So just feeling how that feels to breathe with that in place. All right, now continue just that long, slow, deep breathing. And I want you to engage root lock. So lift, feel that pull up, feel that belly button maybe move back a little bit. Feel that engagement in the deep core musculature. All right, hold that for just a minute and breathe. Good, just a gentle lift. All right, now we're going to take a deep inhale, a full exhale, and then we're going to engage all three. Okay, so keep neck lock. If you can go ahead and engage root lock or you can wait. All right, so taking a deep inhale. a full exhale, and then draw that energy up through the pelvic floor. Lift if you can, that diaphragm, feel that suction. Hold. And inhale. Beautiful. All right. So that last thing that we did, that all three locks might be something that we would apply at the end of a pose. All right. So again, just remember these are all just supporting the movement of that energy and connecting your physical body to that subtle body, that energy body, right? Because yes, we are engaging physical muscles, and yes, we are going to experience physical benefits from this, right? But you're also going to experience energetic benefits from this. All right. You are learning so much so fast, and I am so proud of you for being here and choosing you and choosing to put the time into this practice. Yeah. So keep going, and you're going to find it just gets easier and better with everything you learn.